this evening program, very important program, how a man thinks. How a man thinks. You know, before you kill your husband, before you begin to blame that man, you know, why are men like this? And I've heard a lot of things. People are saying, why are men like this? All men are the same. Why do men behave like this? Why don't men cry? You know, how come there's this situation, but they still look like there's nothing happening? You know, why are they forgetting our birthdays? You know, all those questions, you know, come down to how a man thinks. How a man thinks is different from how a woman thinks. A man thinks why do you see a man talk less than a woman, and yet they were experiencing the same situation, but a man will speak less, a woman will speak more. A man will tell you that, okay, I'm going from here to Lusaka. For example, those who are in Zambia. I'm traveling from Copperbelt to Lusaka. How did you travel? He arrives there and he's asked that question, or he will say that, no, I traveled well. But for a woman, he will tell you how fast the bus was, you know, how the driving was okay, you know, where they stopped for some breakfast, you know, everything in detail. It's because of the way a man thinks. A man thinks differently. A man thinks differently. It is there's a research that was gotten. It found that women have 14% less in terms of brain than men. And yet women utilize most of that brain. They utilize most of that brain. And it's also evident in the scientific world, say that there's a woman uses both spheres, you know, of hemispheres of the brain. So you find that women have a lot of things emotionally, they're more emotionally than men. Men are rational. Come to emotions, they're rational. There's the pastor who dramatizes this. He dramatizes it. He says, the brain of a woman is like there are wires all over, and you know, mixed with the emotions. But for a man, the brain is like in boxes, you know, which are not connected. You know, if you want to deal with something, he just looks at one thing, forgets about everything. But for a woman, he will connect his husband, he will connect to his children, he will connect to his job, he will connect to her work, he will connect to God, he will connect everything. And at the same time. Yeah, at the same time. And yet, you find that they remember a lot of things. We forget birthdays. You know, I owe her a lot. Yeah, I owe an apology. Yeah, you find that I forget a birthday, she has to remind me. But I've learned to remember. I've worked on it to remember, because it's very important to a woman, because they'll connect that. For me to remember a birthday, they'll connect it to a lot of things. A lot of things. Does he really love me? They'll look at a broader thing. A woman is like, he has a broader vision, a bigger picture. A man is like, he just has a tunnel that's focused on one. After looking at that, he jumps to another, looks at another thing. You know, so before you begin to kill us, you know, you have to also know how we are made, our mechanism. How is a man made in terms of the thinking aspect? How does it relate to God in that terms? But in churches, there are more women than men, because men are more logical. They have to think through this kind of a pastor. You know, what kind of preaching is this? Have you gone to school? Has he been to university? They will analyze. And it's also research says that men are good at mathematics, while women are good at knowing languages. So it's all about how we think differently. But we've seen, of course, exceptions are there where you find that the women that are very good at mathematics. My wife is good at that. Yeah.
Maybe because I'm a logical thinker.
Yeah, because of my temperament. Yeah. So very interesting topic. It's a very interesting topic. We have to know why men behave the way they behave. Why do they forget our birthday? Why do they forget easily situation? But women, they still can remember. Times when my wife had reminded me one time, we were talking about something, then she reminded me about something I didn't do right in our year, the first year when we got married, some 17 years ago. She reminded me, so I was taken aback. I even forgot about it, but she could still remember and connect to what is happening now. So we need to be very, very alert as men, but women also must understand us from that point of view.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So our mentor today, Mentor Tembikosi, is on the hot seat. Our first question is that as he has introduced the topic, we are looking at a man, how he thinks. When it comes to being a man of God, or when a man hears someone saying, I'm a man of God, or I'm a woman of God, what really goes in the mind of a man? What does he think when someone says or claims to be a man of God?
This evening, I would like to take this opportunity and greet our viewers at home, our audience in Zoom, and appreciate this opportunity that I've been given by the McConnors, the family Bliss. Okay, getting to our topic in terms of in Word of God or being a child of God. We as men, we normally think differently and we take time to process. Let me start by saying, when God created a man, he created him with his own likeness. For us to think like him, to be the creator, to have a dominion over almost everything in this world. However, due to the life that we are living, that's why we as men, we listen into details and think deeper. Unlike a woman, they are more like sponge, like they grab things fast. We hardly grab things fast. And when it comes to somebody who is a man of God, once they got that revelation of being a child of God, they hold fastly. It's not easy for them for you to remove them from God because they are more rooted. Once they start believing in God and as a man of God, sometimes we tend to give 90% of our time to God and the 10% to our families. And I will say that is one of the disadvantages that it's going to us. Because as us men, whatever we find with our own hands, we make sure we want to do it perfectly. That's why you'll find us doing more when we have to go to church or serving God. We do even whatever it takes to make things perfectly, forgetting that it's only God will make us perfect, not with our work. So what I can advise us as people, get to know us, that when we grab something, we run with it. And in most cases, we don't just jump and respond because we are too into details. We think much deeper. That's why you'll find most women going to church and us men was like, no, it's fine. I'm going to support you financially. I can take you and drop you to church and go back home just because I didn't find that revelation on its own. And one thing as men, we don't want someone to waste our time. Time is much precious to us. Believe you me, if you can take me like 4 hours in church, I'll start looking at my watch. But a lady, she doesn't mind to dance almost 2 hours in that church and sit down and listen to the word of God. But myself, I know at this time around 3 o'clock, I'm going to watch soccer. So we prioritize and we make sure that our time is not wasted that much. So as much as we think, the diverse of thinking as men, it's quite deep. It's not easy to understand a man. Only God can understand us, by the way. It's only God who will understand the direction we are taking. Be happy if your husband or somebody who knows as a man have grabbed or received the revelation about God in his life, because he will make sure it's not easy to uproot him. That's why you will not see a man moving from one church to another. Only because when they are at that place, they know I am going to be edified. If he's not edified, then it's a goodbye. We are not going there. So
Wow.
as men, yeah, we are like that.
Yeah. When we were explaining, I was even connecting to what my husband was saying about the boxes that men have in their head. So it's like when they have of being a Christian, they'll concentrate on that one box.
Yeah.
And as wives or girlfriends, you'd find that we don't understand that. We want also to fit in the box for God. Meanwhile, it's not our box. Yeah, so we are getting there. We are really understanding how men think.
Wow.
My next question, because is that what goes on in the man's mind when he says, I love you to a woman? Or to his wife?
Okay. As soon as we take a first step and say, I love you to a woman, we have the requirements that we are looking at that woman, which is we're looking for someone who will compliment me. We are looking for someone who will be more compatible to me. That's why you will see us. Okay, we are different. Let me just start by saying that we are most different, because we might say I love you, but not meaning the word I love you. There's a way I will say, no, I love you, but in other words, at the back of my mind, I'm saying, I want me and you to get into praise and worship. If you do understand, if to those who doesn't know the praise and worship, they'll get us along the way. But yes, I want us to get into praise and worship. Actually, that's the meaning of my saying, I love you. Just because in other ways, I'm asking that praise and worship.
Wow.
How are you going to get that? For the sake of audience, we're not going to go into details and say things as it is. So when I say, that's why you'll see a man moving from one girlfriend to another and play with them just like that. But there are those who says, I love you, genuinely so, meaning the true love that is from God, the true love that it's a meaning of the true love. We are looking for someone to get older with. We're looking for somebody who will be with us for the rest of our lives in this world. Like, I'm looking for my better half, actually, which I'm not complete without her. I want someone who will make me more complete. So I'm not going to drink in all the wells or all the rivers that are flowing only because I said I love you to almost all of them, because actually what attracts me is the outer part from the start. Then when I get to know you, I know the inner person of you as my partner. That's where you'll see, if you don't meet the requirement, I will move from one person to another. So that's why in most cases, it's advisable to us men not to sing a song, I love you. Let us mean the word I love you and mean it. When you say I love you as a song, and the lady will sing along and back you up and say I love you too, knowing correctly, I'm not even into that love at all. So what I will say, our young men have to be taught the true love. So that when they say I love you, they mean that genuine love. Because in most cases, when we think as us men, obviously, I'm not gonna say I'm asking the praise and worship. The lady will say, no, I am not that person. I am not gonna sell myself just because you ask 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your own satisfaction. So I will talk about the true love. Yes, we are looking for somebody that comes to us. Actually, I'm asking you to say, let me be with you. Because that's the only way the ladies comes to, actually, I believe our young ladies, if ever they are not that taught or not always saying I love you by their parents, obviously when I come and say I love you as Cosby, they will feel like it's a new word and they'll be more getting too excited, only to find out I don't even mean it. I just love her figure. I just love her hairstyle. And I'm not going to be into details. I'm saying, no, I love your hairstyle. No, I'll just say, you are so beautiful, but I love you. So that's how we are. In short, I can say that.
I love the explanation. There's something that is running in my mind. I'm thinking of like those who are already married. Okay, that one was for those who are not yet married, that question.
Yes.
I would want this man to answer the question. He does tell me, I love you, I love you, I love you. So what do you mean?
Yeah, basically from a perspective of a man as a husband, not just a man, but as a husband. When I say the first time I saw you, my mind was like, wow, I've found what I've been longing for. Tell you the fact. I was not like saying praise and worship. Okay. When I met her, I made my mind just there and then. Because at that time, this is the time to settle. Although we managed to even, we courted for almost 5 years, almost 5 years. And I promised her one thing, if you remember, that I'm not going to touch you until we said, I do. For me, as a husband, I say, I love you. I mean, I love you being part of my life, and you are going to do life together.
As a compatible partner.
Exactly.
As Mentakos mentioned, because he gave 2 answers. There are those who mean praise and worship.
Yeah.
There are those who mean having a compatible partner. So what did you hear also from the other side? Yeah. Next question is for you, Mentor.
Yeah, we're enjoying ourselves, Mentor.
Yeah, the next question is for you. What goes on in the man's mind when it comes to parenting, or how does a man view parenting? Because you find that as women, we're so much attached to our children, and we actually do too much when it comes to parenting. We overdo, actually. Now, my question is, what goes on in the man's mind? Because men are so commanding. When a man speaks in the house, the children will bow down, but when a woman speaks, they'll even laugh. They're like their friends. Yeah, so what goes on in the mind of a man when it comes to parenting?
Okay, let me say there are those who are family orientated, and there are those who are not family orientated. Those, in most men, they believe they are present in a child's life when they only supply finances.
Mm.
Like, if I can say, no, let us have time with you as a family, he will say, but I have given you money last month, or I've given you money yesterday. Why do you want my time?
Wow.
So in most of the time, men, they think they are available in the child's life when they are able to provide financially. However, the true meaning of being a present father is when you manage to have time with your child, when you are there to provide like physical connection with them, emotional support to your family, because actually you'll find that a man has to be there about 21 years of their child. They don't even know what kind of a life the child is living, which grade is the child doing, what size of the shoe the child is wearing.
Mm.
We tend even to forget their birthdays.
Mm.
So man feels like, okay, no, I am a good father because I managed to provide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most of us men, we will say we are present just because, yes, the child will call me and yes, no, it's fine. I'll take the call. No, it's okay, sharp. Forgetting that a lady, he herself, she do need a time with you. Children, they do take time. They do need your time also. So to us, I feel like you ladies, you have to be patient with us and to be open up to us and tell us how do you want us to fit in into your life. Because yes, when we feel like, no, I have given you the school fees money, I have given you clothes money, now on winter, which is just about to pass. Yes, when I've given you the clothes money for winter, no, I'm fine. I'm gonna see you during summer. Yes, when it's towards trips, schools, I'm going to supply finances. Forgetting that sometimes I need to go and attend the games that they are having at school. Those, when they have a game like a soccer, and as a father, I am there, it goes a long way to that child.
Yeah.
So I believe as ladies, you do have to tell us how you feel, because we feel like, no, it's fine. If ever I've given her and she's smiling and the child has bath and everything, I don't care who bathed the child. I don't care who bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As long as I come home, eat and sleep and go to work, you'll find us working very hard in a way of saying, no, we want to supply food on the table. And you'll find that, okay, the children and the wife, they really don't care about the food you are putting on the table. All they care is your precious time. So in most cases, I will say as men, we tend to run away from our responsibilities as father. Like the commitment on its own when it comes to parenting, it's a no-go area. You have to help us to think deeper into this level, and you have to help us as ladies, as someone who will uplift me. You have to be honest and say, okay, this is how I feel. Even if you are not earning anything, even if you are poor, Cosby, yes, you are still the father of my children. There's a time that you can see the children, you give them almost every trend clothes that is in the country. Your child can wear them. All the labels that are there that are trending, your child is wearing, but you don't even know that your child is taking drugs, especially to us men. But women, they are always up to date when it comes to parenting. You will never see a successful single parent as a man. but a woman can go that long way. That's why if ever I happen to be a single parent, believe you me, I'm gonna find somebody to help me. But a lady, she doesn't need that help. Like actually, our mind, I think it reaches a limit where it can't do multitask in such a way. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the sensitivity of a woman and also multitasking of a woman. I believe you are right, man of God, that we need to learn from our women how to also do the multitasking. Yeah, because that's not how we are wired, but we need to do. Very needful.
Amen. Amen. We thank God for that. Yeah, I will jump.
And just to add something, just to add, a child, when the child cries, to me, it's just a cry. But a lady will be able to tell you, now she's hungry, now she's wet, and now they want to sleep. But to me, it's like, okay, no, the child is crying, whether it's sick or not. So I believe God has given you that sensual thing of it, where you can think deeper and to understand, okay, now this child needs this and this and that. Because by the way, you spent 9 months with them in the home, where you learn to see them grow inside you and feel them. But us, we don't have that opportunity to listen to them when they are playing. You'll know, okay, now my baby is awake. We don't know. At night, when your child is kicking, we don't know. We don't even experience such. So I believe you are the blessed gender in such a way.
Amen. Wow. Amen. I'm sure we have heard, so we'll not take offenses. We'll just be helping our yeah, keeping them updated so that they move with us and they do the needful. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll have questions from others that we need to ask when we are done. I think we're remaining with just 2 more questions for our mentor. Then for the meantime, then those who are here with us, if they have 1 or 2, either write in the chat box or you can raise your hand and you ask. So my next question, mentor, is that when it comes to property owning, many men, I'm not saying all men, but many men, let's say if he's the one who has more money, maybe he's the one who brings more money on the table, a woman brings less. When it comes to property owning, when they buy anything, land, car, whatever they would put their money into for investment, those investments of property will be in the name of a man, not a woman, or not as a couple. So mostly it will be in the name of a man. So what really goes on in the mind of a man when they actually do that? And what goes on also when it comes to who owns the property or the investment they have? What are they thinking? Who's the owner of those properties and why do they put it in their name? Most of the things they own as a family is in their name, so that we understand their thinking. Why do they do that?
Okay, I believe on that one, it can be those who are married out of the community of property, or they are just doing the African's marriage with just a fat and set. They are just chilling without getting married. Like, no, we're just pushing life together, but we are not getting married. So I believe we have been taught as men that when a lady comes into your life, she might not be in your life permanently. And I don't want another man from somewhere to come and benefit my sweat. There's no way I'm going to allow that. I rather put my child as a beneficiary because I know it will benefit the extension of my family. So I believe the only thing that should happen, it's when a man is more family orientated, where you can have the joint account, you can buy property with the joint names, because in most cases you'll find that, okay, you know, as men, as I've said, we think more into details. We don't just think and act. Before we act, we think and think and think for future, not just looking for today, because we don't know what tomorrow brings. You might find, okay, maybe we have con artists that are women these days, that we, in the age that we are living. They are just here to make money, to repossess whatever I have, and they move to the next man. So that's why we are more careful when it comes to such. Not just that we don't trust you as my wife or my girlfriend or whoever. I do trust you, but my trust has a little bit of a limit of saying I don't want to risk with my property and be left alone. Because when we get into a relationship, in most cases, people, they get into a relationship for different reasons. And you might not know what reasons you came to the relationship with. I don't know what you have at the back of your mind. So that's why when I have a business or a property, I rather keep it to myself and my children, because they are my blood. They won't betray me in the future. However, this can be, and it's advisable that when we get into a relationship, let's make sure we are all honest to each other, because honesty is the key. If I am honest to my partner, why on earth did I just trust her? And you'll find, okay, let's say the woman have more money than me. When we say we are getting for marriage, she will jump fast and say prenup. Why prenup for her? And when it's me earning more money, and I say in community of property, no, it has to go hand in hand, in balance, and make sure we share equally.
Thank you. Well balanced explanation.
Powerful, yeah, very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, powerful. Yeah, we need a lot of talk on this. We need a lot of conversations in this area. So it's one area that it still has great areas.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of information that we need, even as couples. Yeah, we need a lot, how to do a will, what on these areas, yeah, property, yeah, all those things. We need a lot of information, yeah, so that we make informed decisions.
Which will actually lead me to my next question for our mentor. You know, there comes a time in a man's life when he decides to write a will or to draft a will just to be safe. So what really goes on in his mind when he thinks of drafting a will? Who is, let me leave it at that. What goes on in his mind when he thinks of drafting a will?
Okay, drafting a will, I would say it's always more advisable to draft it, so that your property or whatever you have, your belongings, doesn't fall on the wrong hands. Remember, when I draft a will and put my partner or my wife, or let's say she's still my girlfriend, by the way, or my children, I am protecting my resources from my family. Remember, I have to protect my wife from my family. As much as I love my family can come and say, this house belongs to our brother. Now you have to pack your things and go. This business or a company belongs to our brother or belongs to my son. You don't have any shares in this company because you met her while he already have it. So if I put my wife as a beneficiary into that company or in whatever resources I have, I am protecting her and my children.
Mm.
And let us remember, a will is more confidential. They will only find out once I am dead, while I am no more. So when I put my children, as I've said, I know they will not betray me because they are my blood. And still I am protecting my staff to stay in my family because my children, they are the ones who have to inherit whatever I have worked for. You'll find that in most cases, let's say I didn't do a will, I have all the belongings. You'll find that the state can take them. And my family won't even benefit anything. While I'm saying I'm struggling, I'm working very hard for my family to benefit, only to find that the state on its own doesn't even know about my investment. So whatever I put it on the wheel, actually I'm saying I have such an investment in this company. I have invested this amount in this bank. Now you can go and collect it because I am no more. So you'll find that I didn't write a will. Most of my belongings, they can go down the drain. So it's always advisable, not only for men, but even women. They need to draft their own will. My will, it's my will. Her will, it's her will. There is no joint will when it comes to a will. So it's always advisable, especially those that are in South Africa. They could go to any bank and draft their will. Not just to go to an advocate and do everything to the attorney. Even a bank on its own, they do that. Yes, you can have your attorney who will draft your will and keep it safe wherever they are. So as soon as you pass on, they will appoint an advocate for you to come and present the will to your family. That one, you are preventing even unnecessary fights. Because families, once you die, once you drop and die, there's unnecessary fight that you don't even know where do they come from. Someone was not even greeting me, but will come and repossess whatever I had. But if I have a will, that will be my final way to them. So you'll find that, okay, my wife, she doesn't have a backup from her family, but through my will, she's protected. So it's always advisable to us men to protect our wives, to protect our children, and to protect our belongings through writing a will. You write a will and you update it each and every year because we do acquire something along the year. So let us make sure we keep on updating our will and make sure it's always up to date. If it's so, let's say I wrote my will yesterday and signed it. When tomorrow I drop and die, it will be my word. And that will be my final word of saying, I want this cell phone to be given to this person. I want my car to be given to this person. I want my house to belong to as a family house. I'm making an example in all these things. It prevent unnecessary fight. So let's say if you don't have a will, go and do it as early as Monday morning.
That's the main result. Wow, what a rich information we have there. Yeah. I think we can allow some questions or some contribution addition to what we have. How the man thinks.
Yeah. Do you have anybody wants to come through? I'm sure some have some network problems. I've seen those who are here, like the speakers and others are not with us. I'm sure they have network issues. Yeah, do we have anyone wants to come through and ask a question or contribution or to add on? How many think maybe there's one area we left and you feel like you need us to know about it? Please, you can raise your hand or write in the chat box. So as we are waiting, Mr. McConnell, maybe you can say something from what Mentor Pentecost was actually telling us.
Basically, I like the analogy our master mentor has put us in. It's helping us to shape ourselves as men, also enlighten to women to help us in terms of where we are lacking. That's why when a man marries a woman, they become one to complement, to complement, because what I cannot see, she will see. What I cannot sense, she will sense. As you rightly put it, Master Mentor, that men usually, as long as they provide something, you provide something, food, shelter to your family, you feel you are parented, and you stop there. It's okay, and yet you have showed us that there's a lot of work to do beyond just providing. There's a lot of work where we need our women, our wives, to help us, because we're in a partnership, companionship, because if I don't have a vision, my wife will create her own vision to now, which vision is she going to help? So we need to up our game even as men. We've seen that a lot of things, we like men sometimes, we don't like discussing these things. We usually say women are talkative, but it's high time we discuss these things. We need to discuss them thoroughly. Yeah.
From the whole thing, one thing I was picking is Mentor Costi was saying that men think deeply.
Yeah.
So one thing that was continually coming in my mind is men don't look at the immediate thing. They always look at the future. They always plan ahead. That is why even when it comes to writing a will, men are good at that. Because they always think of the future, what will happen. They always think the future. With us women,
no emotions.
Yes, we think of the now. We're very emotional. Men are not that very emotional. That is why women, we get so attached to everything. I think my husband was talking of the way women, we are wired. It's like we have got so many wires in our heads that connect to one another. Everything is connected to each other. Hence, we can multitask. But for our men, them being vision carriers, them having a lot of boxes in their heads, when they think of one thing, Mentor Cosby was saying, when they think of having, when a man is a man of God, is a Christian, they will dedicate 90% of their time to that. Forget about their family. Yeah, forget about everything. Because at that moment, they're in the box of God. They're in the box of being a Christian. So those are the things that we need to actually also understand as women and try to help our men, explain to them how we feel, like how Mentor Pentecost said, we just need to tell them. Exactly. They will not know what they're doing. They will not see the mistake they do. Yeah, I think we've lost our mentor. We might have some network problems there. Yeah. So we've really learned quite a lot. So there's a question, there's a chat. Let me just read something in the chat box from D. The part where Brother Cosby spoke about wills, we tend to leave things to kids and they never last long. Isn't it advised that we leave assets in a trust fund where they will always be safe? Wow. Where they'll always be safe. Yeah, in a trust fund. Yeah, because maybe
Okay,
you can comment something on that one.
Yeah. Is it possible she can come early?
Mental Cosby.
Maybe. Just explain a little bit more to shed light so that we are educated as well on the trust fund.
Yeah, are you able to come through?
If not, it's okay.
If not, let us know. Then we are not professionals in those areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
The difference between a trust fund and a will.
Or you can write in the chat box.
Yeah.
But I think it was a question. He needed clarification.
Okay.
Because like when you're writing a will and you leave your property assets to the children, especially those who are still under 18, and let's say you die when they're still young, the children not have much of the power to take control of those assets, and they'll end up losing them because they are still young.
Now I'm getting
the question. So he's saying, is it not advised to put them in the trust fund?
Wow.
So we just need more details on that one. Are you coming through? Is someone coming through?
Hi, I'm sorry for the video. My camera is giving me problems. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
With the part about wills and trust funds, normally when couples are married, there's the part where there was mentioned about prenup and in community of property. So now, if I come in as a woman in the marriage and I decide I want to do a prenup, there's that part where there's a house and cars and everything else that is involved. Then in community of property as well, we share everything. So should the couple decide to get divorced and there's children involved, what happens now to the house and stuff? And instead of now sharing everything, now we have to split everything and then we forget about kids. So isn't it advised that we put that in a trust fund should the couple as a couple we get divorced? Now maybe the father or the mother gets married to someone else. What happens to now the houses and everything else now that there's kids and a new person in their life?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think like you need to update your will. I think
Yeah.
you meant that because you mentioned of updating the will. In such cases, the will need to be updated.
Yes.
Now, maybe instead of putting your wife or your husband, since you're no longer together, that's where maybe the trust fund comes in, where everything now goes to the children.
Yeah.
So
I
the
think,
will has to be updated, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also thinking we should call for a special meeting on this one because it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially on the will and trust fund, how people can make good decisions so that they don't lose out, their families don't lose out, especially to the children, because they are the most, when two elephants fight, the grass that suffers. So you find that children are the worst hit when it comes to divorces, when it comes to split of assets, because there's two minors, they don't know what to do, they don't know where to go, and these assets are divided amongst the two, and then, but they still have long life, they still have to live. So I think that one is very, very important.
Yeah, they need someone to come in between and assist, but the will has to be updated.
Yes,
it has to be updated. Wow, that's what I'm thinking. We only have 3 minutes remaining. Do we have anyone with a question or a comment before we close? It's been quite a lot of things that came through actually. Yeah. Thank you, Sister D, for coming through.
Thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, and your contribution. Actually, it will help someone who's going through the same.
Yeah.
Who's going through divorce or who's going through separation. I'm sure they will get something from that.